Next, we have tab 4 with the preparation for the 2026 legislative session with Tricia Guillon. Is in Louisville today. Morning.
Hi, good morning. Tricia Guillon here from Louisville to discuss, Tricia Guillon, Legislative and Rules Manager, to discuss potential legislation for the 2026 session. In May, we talked about a couple different topics. Staff brought forward 2 ideas regarding animal cruelty, animal fighting, and elder abuse, and then Commissioner Lawson brought forward a 3rd suggestion for legislation for 2026. For clarity purposes, I'm going to go over the first 2 proposals from staff and then ask for a recommendation from commissioners on how we should proceed, and then I will go to the 3rd proposal regarding self-exclusion lists and share feedback, and then ask Commissioner Lawson if she wants to provide any comment as well before I get feedback from you all on how we proceed in the future. Staff held feedback sessions on June 16th and June 23rd, where a few other ideas were proposed to bring forward. They include legalizing sports wagering in card rooms and looking at reducing the self-exclusion timeframes that we require. Stating 5 years seems to be a little long. Staff believes we can address the self-exclusion timeframes through rulemaking and does not need legislative action. So regarding feedback for the animal cruelty, animal fighting proposal, there were concerns brought forward regarding the costs of expanding the criminal enforcement. I think some suggestions would like to see us go to the legislature and ask for funding for this. Specifically, and then also some of our tribal partners would prefer that our agency focus on investigating illegal gambling activities that impact tribal gaming facilities. Moving on to elder abuse, specifically theft from a vulnerable adult. Some of the feedback we received would be require a person who is charged with theft from a vulnerable adult to go through a gambling disorder assessment with a certified gambling counselor. Some other feedback included concerns moving the threshold from $5,000 for a first-degree theft to $1, potentially moving the number to a different amount, somewhere in the middle, like $750. Additionally, there were concerns on ensuring how we would confirm the source of where the funds came from and that the funds were used from a vulnerable adult. And there were also concerns of how are we tracking, funds that are used in other activities, which is outside the gambling realm. So from those first 2, I will also say that we received some general feedback for legislation for 2026 in the sense that it's going to be a short session. It's going to be another tight budget year. Perhaps our efforts are best used to, talk to the legislature about financial, like what an impact would be if they potentially came back and were looking at taking additional funds. So I think that, all things considered, my recommendation would be maybe to focus 2026, as it is just a short 60-day session, on what is going on in the budgetary world of our state. So from that perspective, that's kind of my recommendation, is we maybe put these on hold for a little bit and come back at a later time. Any comments?
Charles?
It looks like Senator Conway.
Oh, Senator Conway? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was interested on, I didn't quite understand the by increasing penalties for animal cruelty, or I assume we're talking about the expansion of the different gaming going on with animals. What is the cost? I mean, if there is a penalty established, what is the cost?
We don't know the direct cost as of right now, but what the proposal would do would currently our agents can't investigate animal cruelty, animal fighting cases right from the get-go. They have to have a gambling nexus. And I mean, as we all know, that animal fighting is a predicate for illegal gambling. So what our proposal would do would just be letting our agents moving or changing the definition to allow our agents to investigate these crimes before the gambling nexus is established.
And that is something you're proposing to do not next year, but the year after?
That's what my recommendation would be. Yeah, it would be to wait until we have a longer session so that we can gather more information, start reaching out to legislators, talking about the idea in general, do a little bit more fact finding on our end to get some stats and numbers so that we are very prepared when we come into the long session.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder if, we know there's been an expansion of this kind of gaming going on, and delay only allows it to continue. I'm just curious whether or not, seems like all we're trying to do here is give some authority to our agents to investigate these concerns.
Yeah,
and I just am, I understand the concern about anything that would add costs to, that we would have to go to the state asking for dollars here.
And that was,
that would be a concern, but I'm not sure by just expanding the authority here, we're adding costs. All right. I just question that. That's all.
And absolutely. And if commissioners want to move forward with that's something that's perfectly acceptable. Just for your reference too, that was just one piece of it. The other piece of it would be allowing the agency in charge of these investigations where animal fighting is taking place would allow them that if there are roosters, birds on site that have been involved in cockfighting and have been severely mutilated, disfigured, would allow them to euthanize them on site as well. So that was kind of this, there was two pieces to our proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commissioners?
Representative Clover.
Oh, sorry, Representative Kloba, go ahead. Didn't see you.
Hello. Well, I appreciate that the commission is considering particularly the piece of legislation or potential legislation around the animal cruelty, that sport of using animals to fight each other is really quite concerning. And I would like to just kind of advocate for consider going ahead and working on that for this coming legislative session. And the reason I say that is because it often takes more than one session to get something passed. And so often in a short session, it's a good time to start really socializing the idea, helping legislators get an understanding of the nature and scope of the problem. We certainly have sort of an informal caucus called the Fur Fighters, who really are champions for animal cruelty. And so I think that they would be very interested, and it's I think it's worth probing a little bit more before you make a full decision, just to see if there's some passion for it amongst several legislators. Like I said, Fur Fighters would be a group that I would think of right away.
Thank you for the feedback.
Any other comments by any commissioners? Or
I think that I would be comfortable tabling at least the topic that I had brought up while we focus on some of the budget concerns that Tricia has identified. But I hear the ex officios here in wanting to at least start the process of educating legislators on the issues with animal fighting. And so perhaps we move forward with just that one item.
Yeah, I would be in support of that too, starting the research and kind of getting conversations going. Maybe asking Representative Kloba how to get in touch with the fur fighters. And going, kind of starting there and going from there would be fine, but then also focusing on the budget piece for next year and trying to get ahead of that.
I hope the minutes reflect fur fighters. Let's that sounds the most prudent course.
Thank you.
So if I may, am I to understand that you want us to go ahead and work on agency? Because we certainly can put together the packet and then you don't have to make a decision until the September meeting, whether or not, we'll have more information and feedback from stakeholders, tribal partners, other interested and impacted groups, and because that is definitely part of the process in terms of putting the packet together. Okay, so, and then in the meantime, go ahead and work on these other topics in the interim.
What other topics?
Well, as in staff's recommendation and in regards to Vice Chair Lawson, not so much in terms of preparing for agency request legislation, but in the next year, then, work behind the scenes for education on the potential changes to, what could be done to bring more participation with the tribal entities into the self-exclusion program. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yes. Yeah, so I think this year, just starting on the actual legislative regarding the animals.
Yes. Thank you.